It's interesting they choose words like gender affirming care. That's interesting that they call it that, but really what they're talking about is hormonal therapy or sex reassignment surgery on children. And in fairness, the American Medical Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Endocrine Society, or whatever the exact name of that is, all of the major medical associations have signed off on this, Joe. They've signed off on it. And I have never seen those organizations sign off on anything with less information as to whether or not it does long-term harm of anything in my life. And when I ask about that, when I bring that up, then they immediately label you as transphobic. And I thought that the deal was first do no harm. And all of the European countries, Sweden, Norway, they've all stopped doing it because they say, we cannot say in good conscience that this does no harm, because it does harm. If you look at the long-term consequences, if someone changes their mind at 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, they can't decide which pajamas they want to wear at night. And their reason for doing it is it stops this drive for suicide, that there's a suicide epidemic. It doesn't fix that.
What's going on, everyone? It's Talks We're Getting here today. As you saw from the intro, Dr. Phil has kind of spoken out against gender reassignment surgery, or whatever they want to call this damn thing. But there's been a recent study that's been breaking, and I kind of want to use this opportunity to talk about it. So recently, I don't know, I think it was 3 days ago at the time of making this video, there was a study from Finnish that came out that says that youth gender transition treatment is not life-saving. Who would have thought? And we had clues about this already. And this is some of my concerns about, like, it seems like these ideologues in these universities are letting their bias bleed into science, technology. You see it with Google, right? This is one of my concerns, because I always spoke about how liberals and people on the political left do not understand the bias that they have that is bleeding into the things that they do. I don't know if it's intentional, unintentional. That's not for me to judge someone's intentions, because at the end of the day, I always state on this channel that a human cannot judge another's intentions. It's hard to judge someone else's intentions, but we can judge people's actions. And the actions these people are taking are detrimental to the scientific method, to people in general, and objective truth. And these are the kind of people that want to dictate policy about what is allowed to be shown and not shown, right? And it's baffling to me how much these people want to go off and protect their ideological purity test. And this is what gender assignment care has become. If you're a liberal scientist, you're supposed to be defending this stuff, regardless of the evidence that is being shown. Jordan Peterson reacts. No one who is scientifically literate ever believed that gender affirming care prevented suicide. Woke butchers promote the ideas. Cowards enabled it. Narcissists virtue signal as usual. And I believe this is true, right? These are people, let's sing our pronoun songs. And then everyone's just, it's like a big realization. Like, a lot of us didn't need a study to justify our position on this. It makes sense. And this is what I'm saying. I think progressive education is really creating mass stupidity out here. This is progressive education, teaching your kid that, hey, would you rather have a dead son or a living daughter? Oh my God, that phrase, it should be unethical. And it's been highlighted in this study. So I want to go through the study a little bit. Not a lot of videos going to be played. But these NGOs, these internationalists, these globalists, they're not our friend. They're not our, they want a world war government. I know this is conspiratorial, but that's the skepticism that I have, because I'm judging their actions. If you're really about truth, if you're really about science, you should let both sides talk. You should let the contrary view allow it to express itself. Now we have studies to actually confirm. The first ever study to test widely made claims that youth medical gender transition treatment prevents suicide deaths found no such evidence, I report on the New York Post. And some idiots online, and I'm about to switch over real quick, glad lashes out over studies showing that child sex changes are not life-saving, right? It's awful to hate yourself so much to write about junk science just to make yourself feel good, as if writing for the Post is journalism. Bye, Felicia. These are the people that want your kids to transition. He didn't argue the substance of the study. He didn't give any counter evidence against the study. All he did was try to smear and label. That's the go-to method of of the left, because they don't stand on truth. They stand on narrative. They stand on ideology. Sorry, this is their religion. They want to sacrifice your kid on the altar. On Monday, Senior Director of Communications for the GLAD organization, which is, I believe, is some pro-LGBTQ organization, lashed out at journalist Benjamin Ryan for reporting on a new study that found sex changes for minors are not life-saving. Anyone with common sense would have known that. In a post on X, Morrison wrote, "It's awful to hate yourself so much." I already explained it to you. "I invite anyone to read my reporting and to offer substantive criticism of it if they see fit, but I do not stand by I do stand by my reporting. And my LGBT related reporting is here. Here is my bio." Oh, I guess the guy's LGBT. I don't know. Ryan reported in the post was on the news. Was out on the new study out on Finland, who determined that providing cross-sex hormones and gender transition surgeries to adolescents and young adults didn't appear to have any significant effect on suicidal deaths. If noted that the high suicide rates in gender questioning youth was tied to the fact that they have a higher rate of severe psychiatric problems, not in their gender distress. Bingo. I did a video earlier about this topic that Jordan Peterson revealed that there's a huge correlation with mental disorder and transgender youth. Right? They talk about how high rates of them have a high rates of narcissism and other mental disorders. And I made also a video about gender dysphoria, and I say, hey, is it really a mental illness? And it's showing that, like, this is what I'm talking about when conservatives focus on imperialism, and the left focus on rationalism. Rationalism is based on theoretical knowledge. If these people are discontent with their current bodies, then let's change their bodies to fit more in line with their vision of themselves. And conservatives come out and says, no, we don't think this is the correct answer because you're just denying reality. You're living in a fantasy land. Instead of forcing you to adapt to the reality that you are a boy and you can't change that, you want us to play pretend just to appease someone's emotions. This is the enabling behavior that we're talking about in our society. And I think as a society, we can't move forward by doing this pseudoscience, intellectual stuff to spare people's feelings. I think we spared enough people's feelings. I think we focus too much on self-esteem. And this is why we get this rampant, chaotic culture that we have now where you can't question anybody because you might hurt their feelings. We need to get back to facts and logic and back to that again. Instead of facing or looking at self-esteem and feelings. We need to learn about self-control. And I think as a culture, we lack that. All right, so let's dive into the article. I don't want to spend too much time on it. The movement's backing gender transition treatment for kids is built on the claim that it's life-saving. Groups that claim that are the ACLU, GLAD, which got criticized, HRC, WPATH. You see all the associations. But no one tried to figure out whether this claim was true until now. Because they know this make no sense. And this is what I'm talking about. These people are so Machiavellian that they'll lie to your face, say, oh, no, there's common consensus, there's consensus. And then once you do the action, that's when they want to come out, oh, we didn't know all the information. But, hey, at least you got vaccinated. Hey, at least you did what we wanted you to do. And this is the common playbook I see time and time again. They censor dissent. Doctors agree gender reassignment surgery is life-saving care. But if you ask deep questions like, okay, what kind of doctors agree to this? None of them will be in the area of expertise that can make a substantiated claim about life-saving care, that gender reassignment surgery is life-saving care. It's getting to a point where I can't even trust the medical association. Ben Shapiro broke a story, and I might do this later in another video, but it's referencing in this video. He posts a shocking thread about how much DEI has infected medicine. Like, it's getting ridiculous what's going on out here. I'm honestly scared. Like, bro, I'm terrified. I'm like, yo, now I have to go check the political affiliations of my doctor. Imagine that. Because you can't trust these people anymore. The left has destroyed science. They have politicized science. And you can't say I'm lying. Look at the universities, 12-to-1 ratio. Culturally, ideologically dominated by the left. And now this stuff is bleeding into their day-to-day life, science, technology. Look at Google. Google could pretend day and night, oh, we try to be, we hold ourselves to a high standard. We're trying to be objective as possible. And then look at the crap they generated with the Gemini AI software. You saw how woke it was. So if that can happen to artificial intelligence, where Google's spending billions of dollars trying to get it off the ground, you don't think in these ideologues, day-to-day life as doctors, none of this bias isn't bleeding into their diagnosis, how they treat patients? These people don't stand on truth. They stand on narrative. They want you to comply and conform to their worldview, and they'll do anything means necessary. They can lie, they'll cheat, and they'll steal to do anything they want. A new Finnish study found cross-sex hormones and gender transition surgeries for adolescents and young adults had no significant independent link significant independent link to suicide deaths, nor did gender distress severe enough to send young people to gender clinics. What was independently tied to a greater chance of suicide in adolescents and young adults with gender-related distress, a high number of the appointments with mental health specialists, meaning severe mental health challenges. This is something they don't want to admit, because they don't want to admit that transgenderism is actually just a problem. The Finnish study concluded suicide were about 4 times higher, but still rare in gender-distressed young people. That means if they don't do the surgery, they'll have the same levels of suicidation, right? Which is still bad, but but we know the link. Their higher suicide rates was tied to their much higher rates of severe psychiatric problems, not to their gender distress. This is the reality. This has been proven. This is the evidence that the contrary view to the transgender movement has. How are you going to respond to transgender movement? Name calling and try to hurt the person's credibility. How original, right? All these organizations, I'm glad. All these poor, no. These people, bro, they're not right in the head, man. Like this stuff should be like, oh my God, we should stop doing what we're doing. But you think that's gonna stop? No. They're fighting parents who wants this stuff banned. When parents were saying, do not teach this stuff to my kids, everyone on the left said, oh, why not? Why not? Now look at it. What gender distressed young people need most urgently, the Finnish study author concluded, is a comprehensive mental health care and not necessarily controversial medical intervention. And that's what I agree with. I agree that if someone's going through mental dysphoria, they should be coached and go into therapy to accept the reality of the situation and be more comfortable in their real body, not in their pretend body. This is the argument I listed out as well, right? This study gets to the heart of a fierce debate whether trans-identified youth high rates of mental health problems is mostly caused by stigma against trans people, or whether, as many skeptics argue, or at least some young people might identify as trans as a way of dealing with mental health issues that aren't driven by gender ideology or identity. Sorry, yo. And then I want to end it off because this is what's crap to me. Erica Anderson, former head of the UPath and WPath, I don't know what that is, divisions, frowned upon a recently common question gender clinics ask on the fence parents. Would you rather have a living son or a dead daughter? It is one of the most unethical things to say to the kind of things to say to parents, said Dr. Ricciardo, sorry guys, a lead of the new study and top adolescent psychiatrist at Finland. Is not based on facts. It's not. It's based on ideology though, and that's what it is. This stuff has become a religion, and last time I checked, the left push separation of church and state. The state should not be preaching this woke church. We done with the sermons. The facts has come out, right, and it showed that their ideological bias has been unfounded. Your assumptions about this being life-saving care is unfounded. American doctors, y'all need to start pushing back against this stuff. Like Jordan Peterson said. Good if only evil people can do something if good men sin and do nothing. And this is one of the, I think this is the most important issue of our time. One of the most important issues of our time, because this stuff will hurt the future generations of our country, of the people in our country. We already saw links that transgenderism is somewhat of a social contagion. The more liberal the country, the more liberal the state, the more likely they have transgender youth. So this stuff, like it's in almost like a mental mind virus. And we need to be allowed to push back against this openly. And a lot of people who are proponents of this movement cannot even defend their stuff on a rational or factual basis. It's all based on feelings. It's all based on, oh, you should love people. It's all this guilt tripping they're trying to do. And I think parents should stand strong, 10 toes down, and say, hey, not here. Thou shalt not pass. This is it. This is the messaging. Now parents have the information. They can arm themselves to counteract this nonsense that's been going on in this politicized medical community. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section. What are your thoughts about the findings that's recently discovered? What are your thoughts about the studies? Did it prove you right or it proved you wrong? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys for watching to the end of the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.